Hello everybody, welcome to the 1v1 tier list for MultiVersus. To preface this list, this will take into account changes that occurred after the last beta. For example, Bugs Bunny got lowered kill power, however he obtained more utility. A big issue with Bugs was his up special bat had a lot of kill power, so it would quickly KO the opponents, especially with the low ceiling. The ceiling was increased to make it a taller height, so characters die vertically slower. Those are two examples of things that occurred after the last beta happened. So this will predict the meta for 1v1 after those changes. This is not a during the last beta tier list. Now we will begin. Okay, so very first, Arya got her up special ladder combo nerfed. The recovery of one of the moves to do the up special combo gained more recovery time. That means it takes more time for the move to complete. It has more lag. It's more committal. Without her up special combo, which is practically a 0 to death, which is why she was number 1 back in the previous beta, IMO, and according to many, she was around top 2. Without the ladder combo, I presume what will occur is she drops down to the worst character in 1v1 in the game. This is because she has a weak neutral, weak advantage state, and weak disadvantage state. Her sword mathematically doesn't cover enough to challenge all of the different tools that characters have in MultiVersus. For example, her horizontal control is very weak. Her forward air barely reaches forwards. It looks like this. And it just barely reaches from here, this point, to this point, to give an idea. Whereas a Batman Boomerang covers from this point all the way across the screen to this point. And they're both relatively the same speed of startup. Similar situations occur against the rest of the cast as Arya. She doesn't cover enough space with her up air, down air, and we already went over the forward air, nor with her jabs and tilts. Her up air simply goes in a straight line like so. See how it doesn't cover horizontal space much? Like over here, to like this does. And her down air also covers vertical space only, going straight down. Like this. The issue with this combination of up air and down air is they both serve a similar purpose. For example, if Arya jumps, she jumps, and she down airs, she covers this area. Same thing if she short hops, and then up airs, and covers this area. Both her down air and up air serve relatively the same purpose, meaning she lacks variety due to sharing a down air and up air that serve the same function. She doesn't hit. If her down air covered more in an arc, like so, like the mouse is moving, then she would be able to cover horizontal space by jumping and covering it like so. And she could also cover vertical space by using her up air and easily reach high up. It would expand her range significantly to have attacks that function for different purposes. For spinning attack in the air, the purple armor break, that is just mathematically too slow for it to be useful. The opponent can evade it rather easily. It doesn't travel much horizontally over time. It is slow, although its total amount of frames is about 2 seconds total. Just a guess. That is why she is F tier, the worst character in the game. Next is not Garnet, because Garnet has received buffs according to the game developer, the game director, Tony. I'm going to put her in A tier for now, and then specify more so where she is in comparison to everyone else later. Harley also I'll put in A tier. Batman got a semi cooldown on his Batarang, meaning he can't just use it immediately. He could not use it immediately right when he picked it up last beta. There was about half a second that he had to wait. Now I assume it's a full second. Finn, he probably got his down tilt nerf, the one where he goes like this while running. That also has armor break and spikes. It covered along horizontally and vertically, armor broke and spiked. So it's quite the powerful move. Real quick, I could be wrong about armor breaking. It's been a while since I played the game, unfortunately. Either way, that likely got nerfed. I'll put an A tier for now. Superman will be an S tier. Here's why. To play this game on a proficient level in 1v1, a player must play every character in the game. That way, the player doesn't run into a matchup where they lose if they only play a few characters. The opponent may play a character that has a winning matchup for 3 characters, for example, if they play Garnet, Harley, and Batman. Perhaps Steven defeats all 3 of them, because Batman lacks armor break that's practical, because the bounce back, when the Batarang goes across the screen and then returns, he has a perk that does armor break. However, it's impractical for it to occur. If he sends it backwards, it'll just go back onto him. He would have to overextend and risk getting hurt in order to cross up Steven and have it break his armor. And if he throws it forwards, it's likely to hit Steven fronting forwards and not on the way back, which is required to get the armor break. Harley does not have a purple attack, although she has multi-hits. Purple attacks defeat armor. That's their property. Multi-hits do not. As long as the player is proficient with using their armor, so they act out of it very well, they can outplay the multi-hits. For example, Superman can charge, up smash, and after the first hit of Harley Quinn's Nair, let go of the up smash stick and hit her before the second hitbox is out. Characters are not difficult to play in this game. I'd say they're about medium difficulty for fighting games, specifically platform fighters. This makes it rather viable to main every character in the cast. Because of this, counterpicking is of utmost importance for winning in 1v1. There are and will be many players who play one or two characters, and I had this occur in the ladder. I played 5 characters: Superman, Batman, Harley, Tom and Jerry, and Velma. I may play Batman into Harley and then lose. However, the next 2 matches I play Superman, who counters Harley, and then I win and I raise up through the ladder. By the way, the ranking I got on the ladder, I peaked at number 8 with Tom and Jerry. Then I heard he was getting nerfed, so I stopped playing Tom and Jerry and began playing other characters. Dropped downwards and ended the season, the test, at rank 21. For amount of games I've played, that is 1,700 games. The second most played player had around 1,300 to 1,400 games played. Most people had around 900, 800 games played. Because I have the most games played, and I played multiple characters, I believe I have the best understanding of 1 versus 1 meta. I did not play a single 2v2 match, nor any bot games. Bugs Bunny increasing utility, which is powerful. His safe is powerful, his rocket's valuable, his pie is good. Every single one of his projectiles is good. Not to mention he has tunnels, of the which he can control space very well. With the perk that explodes when he exits the tunnel. You can also use it to simply go into center stage. First, before I go more into bugs or another character, I'll directly state why Superman is S tier. He's fundamentally not that incredible. He does lose matchups, specifically like Arya. He actually loses because she can armor break with every move after her down special. He also loses to Bugs because he's got the jab that armor breaks. And the jab is active for quite a while. It's not very high committal. And it defeats Superman's melee approaches. However, there are some matchups like versus Harley that are unlosable as long as it's played correctly. So as a counterpick character, Superman is invaluable. He's very valuable. He's also relatively easy to play. Once you get used to the timings of the armor attacks, you simply want to armor an attack the first hit and then act out the hitbox before the second hit comes out. Use your lasers if they try to zone you out to force them to approach and come close. Then you use the super armor attacks. Fish for jab in neutral because it's a rather good low committal way to win neutral. Use the ice breath against certain characters that lack speed, because it'll slow them down to the point that they won't be able to stop Superman from ice breathing them to the fully charged and then ice break them. Put them into an icicle. Superman also defeats Batman. It's also impossible to lose. Batman just does not have a practical way to armor break. Superman also defeats Garnet. I believe Garnet does not have any armor breaks. So if they don't have a single armor break, they practically lose to Superman. He may have more losing matchups than winning matchups. However, those matchups that he does win, he wins so well that he's S tier. To put it briefly, Superman is a valuable counterpick character. This game is centered around counterpicking because it has a moderate difficulty level, meaning playing all of the characters in the cast, or most of them, is a viable way to play the game. Jake, I'm going to put in the middle of A tier. He received buffs. Rain Dog, I'm going to put down D. He got nerfed with his damage. The reason Rain Dogs did so well in 1v1 during the ladder of the last test was because they had this perk that they combined two perks, electric damage and fire damage, and then with the fireball, they would do about 20% per fireball. And the fireball is a rather good projectile, and it wins neutral consistently. However, the damage was cut in half with the nerf. That is the nerf that occurred. He did gain an armor buff since the last test. An armor break, not an armor buff. I believe on his side special. Shaggy got buffed significantly. Apparently he's strong now. I think that Shaggy mostly is a fundamentally weak character because of the startup on his sandwich. It takes quite a while. He has to dig through the ground to pick it up. And it isn't overly powerful. They gave the sandwich as Shaggy's main way of controlling horizontal space, and it's just too slow for 1v1. Perhaps it's more useful in 2v2 when your teammate can distract the opponent with some sort of AoE, area of effect attack. Tom and Jerry goes in B tier. Basically, Bugs Bunny can zone players better than Tom and Jerry can. Pretty simple. During the test, he got his dynamite nerfed, so Tom and Jerry could no longer do it infinitively. I used that. It was really easy to just climb the ladder to rank number 8, just spamming dynamite, and with the perk that turns it into 3 dynamite. He controls horizontal space well by throwing Jerry. However, now you can simply play around the TNT, the dynamite, play around Jerry. The game essentially becomes wait out the TNT, KO Jerry, and then you win. Because he has weak disadvantage, and he's light. He gets offstage gimped rather easily. Up next is Steven Universe. Internally, for the developers, inside of their own internal server, just the developers, perhaps some QA testers, employees, I don't know the specifics. Steven was the strongest. However, he was not on the ladder. Steven Universe did, with Flash Tyre, reach around rank 3 on the 1v1 ladder and then drop down a few spots. There's also Captain Planet with Metal Arms around rank 20 with Steven Universe. Steven Universe, during the test, got his surfboard, his main way out of disadvantage and a combo starter. It had a lot of priority. It no longer has massive amounts of priority. However, he still has armor. He still has the watermelon clone of himself. He has a lot of power because of the watermelon clone of himself and the surfboard, as well as a good Nair that is omnidirectional. It's every direction. The issue is he got his infinites removed, where he would just simply he would just Nair and or down air. The opponent using character would just bounce up and down, up and down, up and down, and take like 60%. That was a huge part of his game plan because it enabled him to win just by building percent and then up airing for victory. With that removed, he is kind of easy to hit because he's very round. So when he's up high in the air, for example, he's wide. So if he's wide, then something without much control of vertical space, like Arya's sword, might actually hit him. Without the 60% combo, he just lacks percent building, as well as strong advantage state. He lacks the ability to offstage gimp. And edge guarding. Watermelon Steve is not really an issue. You can often just defeat Watermelon Steve. And then continue to face Steven. Right now I'm thinking about how powerful Watermelon Steve actually is. Watermelon Steve, I said earlier that he has a lot of power. He has Watermelon Steve. He has the Nair 60% combo. He's got the armor. He's got the projectile, which is rather good. That combines with Watermelon Steve, and then zaps where it explodes where Steven is. That is very powerful. That's the one of the easiest way to win neutral. It's very consistent, has a lot of priority, hits very big. And Steven can also do attacks during it. I'd say Watermelon Steve, the main purpose of Watermelon Steve, it's not really his attacks. It's just the circle that goes on him that attaches with Steve and then Watermelon Steve, and then the following explosion. It's all about the following explosion that occurs. I put him in C because he doesn't have, he's, put simply, he's lacking offstage gimps. He's lacking edge guarding. His up air juggling is rather simple. He lacks a way, and this is very important, he lacks a way to cross up the opponent and pressure them from the other side of them. For example, right now he's below Tom and Jerry. Let's put Tom and Jerry right here. If they're in this position and Steven is juggling Jerry and Tom, there's no way for Steven to pressure the other side. So Tom and Jerry can simply drift this way, go towards the ledge, have no fear of getting gimped, aka edge guarded, hit off stage into the blast zone is what gimped means. and then continue to go onto the stage. Other characters have ways, for example, even Shaggy with his projectile. He can shoot it horizontally that way in order to cover space. That is the issue with Steven. Up next, we have Velma. She got nerfed, actually. I already thought she was weak in 1v1. Actually, the worst character in 1v1 at the time. All of her attacks require safe distance, and the opponent can simply approach. There's nothing obscuring their approach, like a teammate's item, a weapon, stopping the opponent from approaching, so that Velma can start up her attacks and then attack from long range. That doesn't exist in 1v1. She gets rushed down by every character. However, after further thought, she is extremely good against zoners because she has such long range. She has the best neutral air dodge because it reflects. So as a counterpick character, I actually put her in S tier. Because she's good at counterpicking, even though, once again, she's fundamentally weak, she's S tier. What might be going through your mind right now is, there's no way a fundamentally weak character is S tier, just like Superman is. It's not valuable to have so many fundamentally weak characters in S tier. Because what if the opposing player just counterpicks you? Surely Superman, who's fundamentally weak, same with Velma, have terrible losing matchups. Right? The thing is, many players, and from my experience looking at their profiles during the beta test, the most recent one, they only played one character. 90% of them only played one character, 10% of them played two characters, and one or two other people in the entire 100 played more than two characters. That leads to around a 98% chance of facing up against someone who only plays a few characters, one or two characters. Meaning a person practically has assuming no one else is copying this strategy to its core and as effectively as it can be done, aka someone isn't facing another counterpicker who plays the entire cast, there's a 98% chance of winning the entire tournament. That's pretty good odds. So that's why, even though fundamentally weak, they are in S tier as the best characters in the game. She does very well in specificity against bugs because she can simply use her flashlight, I believe, to hit all the way across the stage while Bugs is setting up traps. It effectively zone breaks. She can neutral reflect his pies and maybe his safe. She negates Batman's batarang with neutral air dodge. And once Batman loses batarang, he's much worse as a character. So she defeats Batman as well. Same thing with Tom and Jerry. Simply neutral air dodge, Jerry, and the tennis balls, and the TNT, and then she wins. I doubt they nerfed her neutral air dodge, the reflection, because she's the only character that has that. It's a unique mechanic. I believe they want to keep characters unique in this game. Every character is very unique. They do not share moves. So they will keep such a unique mechanic on Velma to keep her as a unique character. Likely they nerf the percentage of damage on her attacks. This way she still wins against these zoner characters. Wonder Woman was underrated in my opinion during the test. She's extremely fast. She zone breaks with her armor and her lasso. She has a double hit purple armor attack, purple attack. And she has been buffed to be more combo orientated. I believe that means, for example, she can combo off of her lasso more consistently, as well as other moves. That's really all she was lacking, kill power. She has her up air where she takes the shield and hits straight up. However, it's quite middle. It's decent startup, just not amazingly fast, like a Bugs Bunny Bat is. And she likes a horizontal covering space attack that KOs. Because the double nair does not KO. Her best option horizontally was the lasso to KO. Now that she has that, she wins neutral because she's so fast. I believe she's also somewhat heavy, so she takes a while to KO. So you can't just play volatile, like very risky. Play simple rock, paper, scissors exchanges with the character in order to win because she's super light. That won't work because she's heavy. She can take trades. Garnet received significant buffs. Garnet was kind of poor, not poor, weak last patch in the last beta because her it's kind of funny, her electric projectile just didn't really do anything. It was way too slow. In 1v1, dancing puts her in an immobile state, so it's not beneficial. It nullifies, it's about neutral at best. As in neutral beneficial. Neutrally beneficial. Harley, here's the thing about Harley. You have to play very well as Harley in order to connect the dots among her game plan. With her C4 bomb and her bat bomb. The doll. If the player messes up by microspacing while juggling, they mix up where they're going, and then she misspaces one time, then her entire game plan falls apart. You have to play very well as Harley in order to win. I only played against one player that was able to competently do that, and that was Bugsv. He moved a little bit faster than other Harleys, and that enabled him to have an actual juggle game on her. Whereas every other Harley had a flawed juggle game, where the player could simply drift towards the ledge, because she didn't have enough. She doesn't have an attack that just goes like boom to catch them drifting downwards and away. I need to play against her more in order to understand how true and how easy it is to break through the juggle game of Harley in order to know how good she is exactly. Because if it's easy to break through her juggle game, her speed, in some sort of way with these characters, because it won't take much. It just takes a little bit to break her juggle game that I saw at peak Harley play. Because it just barely worked by a few frames. Then she moves all the way down to second worst character in the game. However, if it's not easy to evade her juggle game, if it turns out that way, then because she plays her own game plan with her two projectiles, as well as the boxing glove attacks, then she goes into S tier just because she's fundamentally so good. The other thing about Harley, and I mentioned this a moment ago, she plays her own game plan. At the beginning of a new esport, the ability to play your own game plan as well as being easy, which Harley is easy, it is extremely valuable to do the aforementioned stuff, to have the aforementioned playing own game plan as well as easy to play. Because if it's cognitively or physically easy to play, aka she has her jab that leads into simple combos, she has a down tilt that covers a lot of horizontal grounded space, covers downwards like that, where she slides. It's easy to play neutral with her. If you want to win horizontally, you just down tilt and you slide across the stage and you hit them that way. Then you do the double down tilt, which I presume is actually real in the upcoming test rather than not real, because last time in the test, the second auto attack, the chain of the down tilt, like the second hit is actually part of the down tilt's second half. If it connects, it chains. It didn't actually chain. I presume they fixed that. For now, she's going to be S tier, fundamentally. Over time, in the course of, I'd say, at top level play, where players actually grind out the Harley matchup, they might even load up a Harley CPU and play all day against Harley just to win against this one Harley player. Which, that will happen. A few players will actually do that. Hmm. 2 to 3 months into release or of gameplay total. For example, if there's 1 month beta that happened half a year ago, 2 month beta that happened a few weeks ago, and then another beta that lasts a month, a week from now. It's actually in 2 days. It's not going to last a month. It's just going to be 9 days, just in theory. Once it totals to 33 months of gameplay time for some players, she'll drop down out of S tier, downwards into D tier. This is because she's relatively simple. Once you understand her game plan, you can consistently play against it. It's cognitively easy. This makes the mind games easy to win. It goes both ways because she's easy to play. She's more energy and willpower can be allotted towards mind games. Hmm. Her issue is she actually lacks kill power because her bat plushie, the bomb C4, it's easy to dodge. You simply jump over, you dash back, you react to it, you hit it, and it explodes. Hit it with a projectile, for example. For a down tilt, the sliding attack is unviable and neutral, actually. So that's effectively a useless move. So she has two useless-ish moves, and that adds up a lot. Her short up nair serves the same purpose as jab, Remember the area issue where the up air and down air covered the same space? Same thing with jab and air. Multi-hit, bang bang, medium range, medium shortish range, and bang bang bang, jab. And bang bang is nair. They both effectively do the same thing. So two useless moves, and then two moves that serve the same function, so she basically has one move there. Her up air light is where she takes the gun and then shoots upwards. It's smaller than it looks. You can simply drift to cross it up. And evade it that way. Yeah. The player simply needs to get far enough away from Harley, whether in juggle or disadvantage, to avoid getting hit by light and air or jab, and then she can't really do much. She doesn't have much effective range, like immediate, practically viable, consistent, good and neutral way to win neutral at a range longer than medium. Examples of attacks and moves that are like that is Tom and Jerry's TNT, Throwing Jerry, Shaggy's Sandwich, once it's actually pulled out safely, Batarang, Garnet's Lightning, now that it has been buffed. I presume they buffed the lightning, made it faster, or just more powerful, like it explodes twice. Lasso, Velma Flashlight, and her speech bubbles. Bugs Bunny Rocket, Bugs Bunny Pie, Bugs Bunny Tunnel, Bugs Bunny Safe, Superman Laser Eyes, Superman Flying, Superman Air Dash Forwards or Dash Forwards, Charge Dash Forwards into Jab, Rain Dog Fireball, to a lesser extent Rain Dog Fireball because it's kind of slow. Those are, and even, I know I said Dagger's bad because it's slow. Even Arya's Dagger serves some purpose compared to Harley. Because Harley has to commit every time she wants to jab. She has to go up close. If the opponent's cornered, which is the best time to try to go for a jab, apparently it would seem so, the opponent can just jump over and then she's cornered now. Same thing with her light and air. She corners herself whenever she approaches and tries to use those moves. One moment. Rain Dog is in D tier. His fireball is easy to outplay. You simply have to be good at spacing and pacing, react well to dodge it, and then whiff punish him. He's a huge, so he has weak disadvantage in immediacy, aka enchained attacks. Touch of X, touch of 80%, touch of deaths, touch to Gimp. For example, hitting him with the Nair and then dashing forwards and reading whether or not he double jumps, covering that with another Nair. Because he's so big, he cannot evade well during a short period of time. He does have that spinning mobility move where he spins and goes very far horizontally. However, there are characters in this game that can cover that, and then at that point he simply loses. He doesn't have a teammate to save him. He's good in doubles because a teammate can save him. Not in singles. Tom and Jerry is just a worse version of Bugs Bunny. Sorry to say. Jake, I don't know too much about Jake, to be honest. There weren't many Jake players. He was a bit underrated last patch. I think last build, I think he was actually about 6th best in the last build. Yeah, super armor galore. He's unique with all that armor and range. He has good anti-juggling with the house, bolt, his transformations using armor. He's got armor breaker on his axe where it spins like so. Boom. With huge range. His range is customizable. You have to know the matchup well in order to play well against this character. And bear in mind, this is for the duration of first 3 months of gameplay 1v1 tier list. When the player and character can play their own game plan that's unique, skills like training all day against a Harley Quinn. Playing against a Harley Quinn isn't going to help you when you fight a dog that turns into giant houses, has super armor, and huge range. The skills just do not transfer. Same thing applies as players who, when they play against Rain Dog, Tom and Jerry, Steven, Shaggy, Batman, Finn, etc. Super armor is also rare in fighting games and platform fighters, especially platform fighters, meaning the fighting game veterans, the players who are fundamentally skilled at fighting games comparatively to others, they don't have experience dealing with super armor. That makes them slightly slower with mind games, slightly slower paced, the offense spacing and technique some, and that's just enough for Jake to win. Because of that, he's an A tier. However, he does not counterpick well because he doesn't zone break. He just does not have a zone breaker. So he gets zoned by Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Rain Dog. Batman I put in A tier because he's lost, I mentioned earlier, he lost his semi-infinite. Batarang has more of a cooldown. Go ahead and zoom in more on this. Oof, advertisement. Double advertisement. Alright. The issue with Batman is without the Batarang chains, he lacks ability to control stage. His Batarang is his main neutral tool. With that nerfed, he doesn't win neutral as much. As long as the player outplays the Batarang, aka uses super armor, uses reflect, uses armor, hits the Batarang, stops Batman from picking it up after it's hit him, hit the opponent, then Batman begins to lose. Batman struggles at low percents when the opponent's at low percent, 0 to 30, because the Batarang will not hit them far enough that he can guaranteed or just likely run up and pick up the Batarang. At 30+%, they do indeed fly far enough that he can pick up the Batarang consistently. The issue is he lacks percent builders, because he lost his jab, Batarang. I presume he can do that once or twice. AKA, he can do jab, Batarang, or specifically, he can do actually jab, Batarang, not jab, Batarang, jab, Batarang, and that's it. That does probably about 15%. And Batman must be up close, which he's a big target. There's a lot of horizontal space control in this game. Ways to out-prioritize a simple jab. As well as battering. Without super armor, like Superman, he's unable to get close. However, he does have a good gimp game, because his battering is good at gimping, as well as he has a good down air. Strong. A good down special. In the air. I'm unsure if it's down air strong, or his down special. I believe it's down special, the dive kick. It covers a lot of space when you drift maximally horizontally. For example, Batman down dive kicks, and then he goes down, 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 horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. It covers a lot of space, and then they get KO'd very early. I'd say 30-40%, if not earlier. That coordinates with his battering, which sends the opponent at a diagonal angle or horizontally, and sets them up to get down dive kicked and KO'd off the bottom. Finn, the issue with Finn is he's an all-rounder character. He's got armor breaks. He's got fundamental speed. He has good range. He has okay horizontal and vertical space control. His attacks are not gigantic. It's just a sword slash. It's not like a projectile that explodes, which is bigger than a sword slash. He's got good combos. They're not easy to set up, however. Because he lacks significant strengths compared to other characters who have starking strengths, these other characters are more valuable as a counterpick character. For example, Finn loses to Batman because Batman simply controls horizontal space too well for Finn. Typically, zoners who control horizontal space, they defeat all-rounder characters who rely on movement. Because they simply cannot evade so much horizontal space control. And vertical control, which battering does, because it can start here, go horizontally, then fly upwards, like that, and then return. Like a circle. He has rather weak disadvantage, so he loses well to Batman. He simply gets gimped real quick by Batman. Versus other characters, he struggles to get in. He doesn't necessarily dominate them. Pretty simple. Because of that, he's fundamentally solid. He's in the upper half, fundamentally solid. That's why I put him A. Because he's fundamentally more solid as a character than Tom and Jerry, and Steven, and Shaggy, and Raindog in 1v1s. And especially Arya, he's way better than Arya. He's basically better Arya. However, he lacks the counterpick power, so he doesn't go higher than 8th. And there you have it. That is the tier list. This is ordered. Some more information about me, because this is my first MultiVersus video. Many of you do not know who I am. I go by the tag Unicorn Pro Gamer. As of right now, I compete in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I'm currently ranked number 7th, best player. I play every character in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. There's 22 of them. I plan to do the same thing in MultiVersus. What I do is I pick up new games that release, and I attempt to become the best player at it. I attempted to do that with Nickelodeon Brawl. It was my first attempt at doing that with a new game that is a fighting game. I made the mistake of only playing one character, Leonardo, and the odds of one character being able to win against the entire cast is very low. So due to that, I ended up 7th, not 1st. I will not make the same mistake in MultiVersus. I'm confident I will become the #1 MultiVersus player. It might take a few months because the skill curve, the way at first when players play a character for a few weeks, they gain a lot of gains in skill. It goes like this, diagonally upwards, and upwards means more skill. However, eventually it slows down into a slant. Players will reach the slant, aka high level of skill, after a few weeks, because they only play 1 or 2 characters. For me, it'll take a few months, because I'll play each character for about an hour each day. However, even if my characters individually have less skill, they will counterpick the opponent's character. So, for example, if their skill level at their character is a 10 out of 10, and mine is a 7 out of 10, or 7.5 out of 10, simply by winning the matchup so much, for example, if it's a 7-3 matchup, or even it's 100-0 matchup, then I win. Especially as time progresses more and more, I'll be more consistent at these matchups. The level of play of these characters will catch up. Their characters, as occurs in video games, esports, diminishing returns, more and more diminishing returns because the skills get mastered. So the characters that are played just a bit each day, they catch up eventually. Enough so that they can be used as counterpick. So if you want to be pro, if you want to be #1, I highly suggest copying that strategy. I'm unaware of anyone else doing such a strategy, ever. It also practices fundamental skill a lot in fighting games, which is very important, because that way it translates into other games. Just like right now I do in Nickelodeon. You can catch me doing that at Twitch TV/UnicornProGamer1337. My social medias are linked down below in the description. I love MultiVersus. I think it's going to be a 10 out of 10 esport. It takes a lot of skill to play all these characters, or even just multiple characters. It's very fun. It's fast. The developers support the game. The characters are appealing to fighting game players, the demographic, the average fighting game player. That wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. I'll be making more videos, and especially tier lists, at the conclusion, and perhaps even during the upcoming closed alpha test that begins on May 19th. Bye.